rusty gears of morning, and faceless busy phones. We gladly run in circles, but the shape we meant.
Welcome everybody, we are going to talk about animal rights today. I will just give a short introduction, and at the beginning I will try to make a joke. Every people in the world love animals. There is not a single person on earth who doesn't like animals, because they either like to eat them or like to protect them. Yeah. So when we think of when we think of animal rights, the first thing that comes to our mind probably is the movements, activistic movements for animal protection of animal rights, like those who care about the straw dogs, stray dogs and cats, zoos, and the other thing that comes to our mind is vegetarianism. Well, they might also be related to each other. And the only agreement they come upon is that the animals are living beings, so they have the same right as the human beings not to be killed, right, for purpose of eating or whatever other purposes, or not to be tortured, because they are, as we humans don't want it to be done to us. Of course, the animals don't want that to be done to them. But I also wanted to stress the theoretical basis of this is scientific humanitarian discipline called the ethics of animal rights, or animal ethics. In the philosophy, there is this discipline called ethics. In it, a sub-discipline is called applied ethics, which deals with issues of our everyday life and gives a theoretical structure of how we should deal with some questions. As a subfield of applied ethics is environmental ethics, which deals about question of the environment. And as a subfield of the environmental ethics is the ethics of animals. This was in the 1970s. It was moved by one Australian philosopher called Peter Singer. And in talking about animal rights, he compared the ethics of duty that comes from Immanuel Kant and the ethics of utilitarianism, which says that a good deed is something that brings the most happiness to the greatest number, or the greatest happiness to the greatest number. So he took the utilitarianism into the animal ethics, and he asked the question, what is it that might bring us to thinking about the rights of animals? Is it that they are living creatures like us? That's not. It's something else, something that we share. Like, is it intelligence? It's not, because we don't share equal intelligence. We don't share equal consciousness. But there is something that we all share, humans and animals, is the suffering. We and humans and animals both want to avoid suffering as much as possible. So here he brings the ethics of animal rights. And that means that's the utilitarian ethics. This is not related to vegetarianism at all. You can eat meat and still be an animal protector in the way of making animals avoid suffering. Because as long as the animal is properly killed for food, then you can still be a carnivore. Although at the end, Peter Singer realized that no farm has properly killing animals, so he also became vegetarian. Okay.
You want to open it up now?
Hmm?
You want to open it up? Or you have more to say?
Yeah, I had something else to say. Yes. This is arguments for the animal rights. But what would be an argument against the animal rights? Let's say the basic arguments is the intelligence, that we are developed intellectually more than animals, so we deserve more than them, or the animals don't deserve equal treatment as we have, just because of the fact that we are intelligent animals in a way. This is argument, the basic argument for those who are against animal rights. Although I can bring an example here. I'll bring an example. There was an experiment, a tube attached to a desk, and in the tube there is a peanut. And a few people came there and they got the task to take the peanut out of the tube. It was long, they couldn't do it with the finger. It was attached, fixed very well, they couldn't take it out. They couldn't even lift the desk. Someone blew in it, nothing happened. And then the chimpanzee came, and the chimpanzee took water in his mouth, put in the tube, and the peanut went out. So does this mean that the chimpanzee now has, because it turns out that he's or she more intelligent in this situation, or equally intelligent with humans. So in this way, some humans might have more rights than the other. Some animals have more rights than other animals, because some are closer to our intelligence than the others. This is also a question that might be posed.
Can you please clarify actually what do you mean by animal rights? What does that mean? Because you pointed out Singer's argument about the suffering, right?
Yeah.
So does it just mean like protecting animals from suffering? What actually means that animal rights?
Yeah, of course, because right, we can't say the animals have right to vote or
yeah. So
the right to go to school, to have education and same as people, of course. So we are talking about. That's what I said. What do we have in common? It's a feeling of suffering, because we can have in common the intelligence, we can have the education, the work, the right to vote. So this is the thing. They have the right not to be tortured, not to receive suffering.
Like abuse.
On any other reason, for any other reason. But it's mostly like physical suffering, and let's say mentally. Okay, we must admit that they can be also mentally tortured. But I think, like for example, if you make fun of animals, it shouldn't be not. I mean, it should be. According to that, it should be right, because the animals don't know that you make fun of that. Like when we in Halloween we put costumes of animals or something, right? You become a pig, and if a pig sees you, it won't say, "Oh, I'm hurt. My feelings are hurt." No. So it's about this concrete physical suffering and mental, if that's possible for some animals. Okay, I think I should stop here.
Well, I want to start before we go any further and maybe think. Let's start with what are some easy justifications of animal rights. If you don't, let's just start with that, because the other side of that is what are the anti-animal rights arguments. But let's just start with what are the easy justifications of animal rights. Let's not just get too far into it. Let's just try to each say one small phrase or something like that. And I'll start like animals can scream, so they must be feeling pain, or they must be suffering. Anybody else?
Yeah, it's unnecessary suffering.
Unnecessary suffering, okay. Avoid unnecessary suffering, okay, good. More?
My cats sometimes try to communicate with me, and you can see in their eyes that they want this or that, or you can see when they feel love, they're happy. And you know there's more there than just...
So if you look into the animal's eyes or their face, it's easy to see that they have feelings.
Yeah.
Okay.
They get jealous. One cat's a bully, you know.
Okay. So they at least have similar feelings to we do as far as we think that they do. Sonia, would you like to say anything?
I would say right to have for freedom.
The right to freedom.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like animals in captivity live shorter than animals in like their natural environment. Even animals were actually threatened by predators on a daily basis.
Right, and probably have more like they get the flu or the cold because they're around so many of them, and they're not eating the right food, so they have to get antibiotics to fight those diseases and stuff like that. That's not a normal sort of life that they would have out in the wild.
Also, like animals taken out of their like natural environment, their climate, natural climate, right? Taken to zoos like around the world, also like, animals need space, right? To run and to,
Okay. Well, let's then quickly switch gears, just so we can get some ideas out there and talk about possible any anti-animal rights arguments. So, an anti-animal rights argument would be bacon tastes good. Okay. Do you have anything, or think about it? Does anybody else have anything?
Yeah, okay. If we take this utilitarian principle that Peter Singer took about animals, so we can say that the mice in the lab will suffer, but after their suffering, some very good cure will be invented, and more people will have benefit of it.
Right. So because of utilitarian, less
greatest happiness to the greatest number.
The suffering just gets transferred.
Yeah.
Instead of the human suffering, the animals suffer.
The suffering of the animals in the lab will bring more happiness to more people.
Or less suffering to
less
humans.
suffering, This argument
Okay.
would be
Yeah, but there is another argument which I'm not sure whether it applies to all laboratory experiments, but it's also to serve the business, because if you put animals in the lab, you don't need to pay for it. Whereas on the other hand, there are people, volunteers, who would actually volunteer to have medicine tested on them.
But you have to pay them.
You have to pay them.
And there's also, because there aren't any strong governmental codes on those kinds of ethics, you cannot do some testing on humans. It's
because humans are overly protected, right? in some cases.
All right. So now that does anybody have anything they want to add to that? Otherwise, let's just go ahead and start talking about your own things. You have cats. Why do you have cats?
I love them.
Bacon tastes good. Well, being a protector of animal rights doesn't mean that you have to be vegetarian.
Exactly.
Twice.
Right. Right. So,
reminder.
but I'm a meat eater. I personally believe that. Okay, so here's an example. Today, I found out that somebody in the apartment complex that I live in had left their mouse in a cage downstairs for 3 days.
Oh.
Now, I had seen the cage, but I didn't believe that there was anything in it. I thought it was an empty cage. Because there was some other stuff around there too. There was a bag with some stuff. I thought, oh, maybe they just put their stuff there, got busy, and left it there. And people don't usually do that at the apartment complex where I am. But I was told today that, no, there's a mouse inside of it, and it's been in there for 3 days. And I was like, all right, so now that I have that information, what am I going to do? My first thought is tell the security guards. But then I was thinking, no, I either need to take it in and protect it, or I need to let it go. Give it some food and water and let it go. Because I don't want it to starve to death, and that's the whole point. I can't imagine undue suffering like that. Like, I can watch a nature show and see it's kind of hard sometimes, but to see the cheetahs chase down the children wildebeests. They're not even old, they're just young, so they can't run as fast, and get killed. I can understand that. It's natural, but it's still like I have a thing about suffering. So I wanted to help that mouse. But then on the other hand, I eat meat all the time. And I don't know if it's ethically killed. It could be tortured before it's killed, and I don't think twice about eating that meat. Kathy?
But I think that's the thing is, looking at those nature shows, these animals are brutally killed. And honestly, before we had all sorts of, how to kill things most efficiently, blah, 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 I think all humans were probably also very, very vicious in the way they kill things. But now, yes, there are cows that go through and they do start cutting them up because the thing that's supposed to slit their throat would get them killed very fast. That doesn't work out for some reason, and they are viciously torn apart by the machines or whatever.
While they're alive.
Honestly, it's kind of like a wolf tent. It's, that's awful. I'm really, really sad that there are cows that do have to go through that suffering.
That's an
But
interesting
that's
thing.
nature.
That's an interesting way to think about it. They should just change the name of the abattoir, the place where they kill the animals, to wolf attack, bear attack. Well, that'd be awesome. You know, trampled by elephants or something like that. They just change the name and everyone's like, oh, okay, that's cool then. It's just like a bear attack.
As far as the animal kingdom goes, of like carnivores that are going out eating meat, we're pretty good at it. We're pretty good at being nice to the animals that we're eating.
But maybe the point is that because we do have, maybe the point is we have the ability to do better. Like, yeah. Does anyone like to say anything else?
No, let's see. I think that, yeah, it's a shame that people take it too far and torture animals that they're raising for food. But I don't have a problem with animals being raised for food. If you go out in the country where I used to live when I was a kid, there would be cows in the next, grazing in the next acreage, and they were just grazing there. Eventually one would be taken and then killed and then eaten. But that's better than having a crowned, you know, I mean, there should be rights and restrictions put around how you are treating the animals that are going to eat food. Not say we shouldn't have them as food.
Is that what this comes down to? Are we having a discussion about animals that we eat? Or does it go beyond that? Let's maybe step away from eating
Let's
animals.
put some practical situation.
Okay. Well, yeah. Let's step away from eating animals for a minute, because I think we could just get fully involved in the ethics of eating animals. Let's try for something else. So, Alex, what would be another way besides in lab experiments and for eating animals that we have come into contact with ethics?
What about the lab experiments?
Well, I said besides those, besides
yeah,
lab
yeah.
we do you want to talk about that?
We didn't.
Okay, fine, that's fine. We can talk about lab experiments. Trading animals.
Yeah.
Like trade animal parts.
pets.
Pets.
Yeah. Like, for me, that's also, like, well, in my understanding, that's also violence, right? Because actually, it's basically trading life for money. And maybe, okay, even some might like argue that there is no harmony because someone will buy the animal and treat it as a pet and provide it food and stuff. But actually, I think that loads of people and loads of actually pet owners are not aware what happens to all those, because like the animal grows really fast, right? A cat and a dog. So that animal can stay in this shop for only a few months. It grows up. What happens to those animals? Most of people don't really think about it. Well, in Taiwan, actually, they're just thrown away on Yanmin Mountain. You know? So they might end up with those like, it's been quite popular lately, I don't know for what reason, those like traps they put on the mountain.
Like poison or something?
I haven't heard about poison, but I know they put traps, maybe for like game and stuff. I don't know what they catch with those traps, or they're purposely done to catch the stray dogs.
Oh, it's on people's farms, maybe.
No,
they
no,
put
no.
out traps, no?
On the mountain, on Yanmin Mountain, and probably other mountains. I don't know. Yeah. So for me, that's like huge ethical concern. And you know, ironically, we actually look at like pet shop owners as kind of like animal lovers, you know?
Or the people that bring us the animals that we love and supply them with
Exactly,
food
right?
and things
Yeah.
like that.
So
Well, okay, so I think there are like at least 4 different kinds of things to discuss in that. I need somebody to turn this for me. There's like, first of all, the people who raise the animals. There's the pet shop that sells the animals or doesn't and then has to get rid of them. There's the people that buy the animals and how they treat them as pets. And then there's the end of the road, like you were talking about. If they're not sold, what happens to them? Do they go into the meat fund or the fur? Do they become fur, or are they just incinerated, or do they go up onto the mountain, or whatever happens to them? I can imagine, like discount dogs. Not sold for 3 months.
Yeah.
NNT. This one's angry. So, go ahead.
I think keeping animals in cages is torture for me. Or a fish in a small bowl this big and the fish is the same size. Or a bird in a little cage, I can't handle it. When I saw a rat in a cage, well, they were trying to... One of my schools that I worked at was trying to set traps for rats, and they were going to eat the food and be, stuck in this cage. And then it was going to die of exposure. They'd just leave it there until it died. And so I thought that was horrific. So I always went out and rescued it. It was a little dangerous because it would try to bite me if I put my fingers close, but I would always use a stick and lift up the cage and it would just, boom, gone. But they couldn't really kill anything because I'd sneak out there and rescue it every single time. So, but I mean, I know that I can't go around the city rescuing all of them, only the one at my school. And this, hopefully mouse or rat isn't stupid enough to walk into another cage and do it twice. But the thing is, I can't handle that. Just capturing it in a cage and letting it die of exposure because they don't like the rat.
Have people always kept pets? I mean, people have pretty much, the domestication of animals goes back pretty far, right? Did you ever read about anything that was written a long time ago about animal ethics from 2,000 years ago? Did anyone talk about that kind of thing?
2,000 years ago. It's mostly
Cats and
anti-animal, yeah.
Anti-animal.
Yeah, in the Bible,
Because they're wild.
God created animals to serve man.
Except in Egypt.
Yeah, you should
Yeah.
They trained cats, they worship cats.
Classical Western philosophy.
Well, how about the saying that the dog is man's best friend? Well, that's kind of like,
Yeah. Well, I don't
Yeah.
probably
know.
still
Cows
old.
in India.
I think that this Diogenes. Diogenes. He had pets.
Oh,
He had-
Diogenes.
Diogenes. But he was homeless.
So the pets were his companions.
He was
Companions.
home what?
He was homeless.
Oh.
Yeah, so I don't know if that can be considered as pets. They were they had some same level. All of them were homeless.
No. They probably
So-
teach pets.
I think a lot of people would tend to say, "I love my pets. I wouldn't give up my pet. My pet is what keeps me happy." Okay, so let's take the specific instance. I think we're going to have to get really specific
Right.
because we're talking about applied ethics, and there are so many different ways to look at animal rights that not only do we have to get really specific, we also have to think of if we think that something is bad, we have to come up with an alternative. So, talking about people who love their pets, there are some people who need their pets, like seeing eye dogs. I mean, are there any cases if the pet industry is generally bad, meaning that on all steps of the ways there are problems, from bad raising and habits, I can only imagine someplace raising a litter of 20 dogs, but when they're all born, you go, oh, deformed, whatever. I don't know how you kill them. Smash them. ASAP. Drown them. I don't know. It doesn't seem like there's any good way to drown a baby dog. But I imagine it does happen. So, from all along the way, let's take the instance of seeing eye dogs and otherwise comfort animals, whether in a hospital or not. Is it justified to raise and sell or groom or train those animals?
Well, but that is something totally different because that's not for or the assumption is the main reason is not a business purpose, right? It's for,
So you're saying if it doesn't involve money, then maybe it's okay.
Well, it probably involves money because that dog needs to be raised, needs to be trained, needs to be needs to stay somewhere,
Right, they're very expensive, actually. I mean, usually the person who's blind doesn't have to buy it, but the group that helps them get that has to be paid by the government or
I'm
something.
not clear whether like those dogs are part of the the regular like pet industry. I don't know that, but I think anybody who wants a dog or a cat can find them like anywhere. There are so many strays. Like you don't need shops if you want a dog.
Okay, so from perspective of singers, the question should be asked: do these dogs suffer when they're doing the training for blind people? If they do, then they should.
Well, let's say that they don't. Let's say that they don't.
So, we have to
So
prove
then is that?
they don't suffer physically, they're not beaten, but how about mentally?
Well, let's just say that they don't. I just want to
Okay,
reach.
that should be okay. Now I'm
It's
like
still
talking
usually-
about imperial ethics.
Well, there is only as far as I know, there is only Labradors that are trained for that. So they're trained, and it's exactly that breed because that breed proved to be more suitable for this.
I think it's not the only one. I think there are like
maybe it's not
three
the only
breeds.
one.
but
Okay,
yeah.
yeah. But there is a reason why, right? And if the dog is actually mentally disturbed afterwards, I doubt that it could serve,
Right.
The purpose.
I think it's
Okay, that's the question we should ask.
No, but you raise a good question because there are also like training schools for dogs, right? If you have a dog, but you want, but you can't be bothered to teach him where to pee and like,
Okay, then how about
And those places are kind of depends, But those places, there are cases of dogs actually dying there, or dogs being like returned as like psychological
And being worse off. Lynn, did you want to say something?
Yeah, it's mutually beneficial. The dog is also happy. The dog also wants to serve. I mean, maybe these breeds of
That's
dogs are very, yeah,
So it's okay.
they're really happy. A lot of the dogs.
They don't look happy.
But
They're not supposed to be happy.
How do you know they're happy?
I don't know. I just think that if you're a pet,
You don't know.
I think. Sorry.
animals don't.
I think they look really not very happy. This is what they look like. Seriously, you're not supposed to play with them. You're not supposed to play with them. Maybe they play. Maybe they play with them at home.
But most dogs really want to serve. Like they.
No, that's true. That's true. They want to help. That's true. That's
They're a
true.
helpful species.
From dogs to blind people, we can also go to military dogs or police dogs. They're
That
also
sniff out bombs and stuff like that.
I am familiar
Yeah.
with
police dogs.
police dogs.
I don't know. Happy.
These dogs are actually drug addicts.
What about dogs?
Yeah.
Or the ones that actually attack people and kill people.
Yeah.
Bite them in the neck.
Yeah. That's also a question.
Or hunting
Yeah.
dogs.
Why
They're
a
also
dog?
trained.
Why a dog can find cocaine? Because
Huh?
it consumes cocaine.
Well, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Well, has to
It's amazing.
has to consume a little bit.
Yeah.
Maybe not like every day.
Well, yeah, but it has to,
But
right?
then, but then the utilitarian principle goes again. Few dogs who suffer will become drug addicts for the crime rate to go down, lower down in one country, right?
I'm not sure if that's necessarily total. Oh, sorry. Were you not finished with your thought?
No, I don't know. I mean,
I'm not sure if that's necessarily totally correct. Like if a dog wants to find a scent of a person, they don't have to first consume the person.
Yeah,
Right, if
but
they wanna find a
just because you found beautiful analogy, it doesn't mean you
no,
have
it
an
has to
argument.
smell-
Sorry.
it has to smell the person once. It has to smell the person at least once.
Right. Well, so it has to do the drug at least once. It has to sniff the coke at least once. But I don't think cocaine has a smell. That must be difficult. But it does to dogs. I need to smell it again to find
That's
out.
why they don't send cows. For
How
these
do dogs know
cows.
what the